Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB.
Macon and WDDO 980 AM.
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett, Westbrook, and Mr. Dumas.
And good evening to everyone. For our audience, we are glad to be back in the house again in 2023. We have some mostly announcements that we're going to be making today, but we are so glad that we made it into 2023. That is such a blessing. I want to just remind everyone that January the 16th, we will be celebrating Dr. King's birthday on this year. And so this is so very awesome that this was put into place because he contributed so much to our community, to our country. A lot of things that he did, a lot of people were that benefited from the things that he contributed to this country. And so we just want to be mindful. We want everyone to join in to help celebrate Dr. King's birthday on January the 16th. Trying to get into, okay. So we do know that there's going to be a march here in Macon on the 16th. Trying to see if I have some information on that. The Evangelist and Ministry Alliance is going to be sponsoring that event on January the 16th. And so we want to participate in that. We know that they line up at different locations on the 16th. And so hopefully Pastor Watson will be on today listening where she can give us some information on the march and give us some instructions. I do know that I have some information from Houston County branch will be having a march. Houston County NAACP will be having a march. I'm going to read you off their flyer that they have. Houston County branch NAACP, Martin Luther King Jr. Dare to Dream, which will be Monday at January the 16th, the day of service. In the flyer says, join us for a day of service and remembrance as we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. It says the marching program. The march starts at 9 a.m. at Oakfield Baptist Church. The location address is 1501 Houston Lake Road, Perry, Georgia. And the march ends at New Hope Baptist Church at 1300 Washington Street in Perry, Georgia. The program will immediately follow the march. Guest speaker will be Dr. Darrell Vining Jr. That's Houston County branch. The Macon Bid branch, there's so much going on that day, the march. I've been invited to speak also at the Tubman. And so there's a lot of things going on. So what we're going to be doing on that day, we're going to be providing breakfast that morning from 9 to 11. And that location will be at Evergreen Church on that's on on Nisbet Drive. That will be from 9 to 11. So we want to we're going to be providing breakfast, and then later on that day, we will be providing lunch to the homeless on that day. So we will be celebrating Dr. King's birthday in that manner We will take part in the march also and take part in other events that will take place. That address, my assistant secretary just posted that the address is 5221 Nisbet Drive. So for the breakfast. So we just want to make sure that people are aware that that's going to be from 9 to 11. And then we're going to later on that day, we're going to be providing lunch to the homeless. We don't have a certain place. We're going to actually be out in the community doing that. We do believe that in order to reach our people that are homeless, they're not going to come to us. We're going to have to go to them. So we will be out in the community feeding the homeless later on that day. And so we want to make sure that we support these events that are coming up on the 16th. And I'm trying to look to see if I can find the information from the Tubman and the ministry evangelist ministry alliance. I'm trying to see if I can find their information so we can broadcast that also, because we want all the support, want to support them also. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Hopefully I'll be able to pull that up a little later. As far as the information for the Tubman, and I know that he sent it to me. I just have to find it. But like I said, we're glad that we were able to make it in the 2023. So many people did not make it to see 2023. So I want to speak a little bit about we're already into the new year, and we've had some domestic violence that's taken place where people have been shot. We talked a little bit about it last week, and it's just something that we have to encourage. It may be parents that's on the phone that's listening, that's listening to the station. I know that from being a child myself, don't have any children, but I raised my brothers when coming up after my mother died, and they were, teenagers. But we have to. You're not gonna, and you're just being unrealistic if you say that you have to. You should know everywhere your child is gonna be. And that's true, but that's not realistic. I know that I can basically say that from when I was coming up, my mother didn't really allow us to go places if we wasn't with her. Even coming up as a teenager, um, if I was dating, he had to pick me up from the house. I couldn't go somewhere and meet him, and he picked me up. He had to pick me up at home. I had a certain time to be back. Even as an adult, as long as I was living in my mom's house, she had rules. So we have to take control of our children. Um, and I'm not saying just children, even if they're in your household, I don't care how old they are. If they're in your household, um, you still should have some type of control. A lot of times, things that are happening, um, I think that parents do know, some parents do know what's going on with their children and what they're doing. Whether they can do anything about it or not, that's a different conversation. But a lot of times things happen. Some parents are not surprised because is actually going on in their household. And like I say, the parents have to take some responsibility and some control, especially if you have um, teenagers or adults living in your home. Um, I was age 31 when I got married, but my mother had rules. I'm saying I was 31, but she still I still didn't stay out all night. I was in her house. I was 31, but staying somewhere with somebody all night long, unless I was going on a trip or something like that, but just staying in her house and being out all night and not coming home till the next morning. I was 31 and she didn't play that. We have to take control of our house and the people that live in it, regardless of how old they are. But I do feel that a lot of peer pressure, especially with our teenagers, um, they're in the feeling of wanting to belong. They think that they like what they see, but that's not all the time. Um, you're not seeing the right thing. You're not seeing the whole picture. And I'm speaking because of me being the president of this organization. Um, we see a lot of times we don't get a chance to reach uh, kids before they get in trouble. It's normally after they get in trouble when we're contacted. And I tell you, it's not good being locked up, especially if you've never been arrested. Sometimes kids get into trouble, may have not ever been in trouble before, maybe their first time. Um, and then sometimes kids or may have had trouble when they were coming up, may have been in um, YDC or been in the juvenile justice system. But I just do believe that, I commend our district attorney, Anita Howard, for coming up with the Initiative Rise program. I was able to attend the graduation, the first graduation that she had uh, in December, towards the end of December. And I tell you, it was an amazing feeling to see those kids that have had some type of trouble in school and not ending up in the judicial system, but making it a commitment and graduating from this program. It was just amazing. It was an amazing feeling to see our kids being able to have a second chance, given a second chance. And so I just believe, we have it's always, we've talked about this before. We've had people to come down, do seminars about the schools to the prison pipeline. And I just believe that once these kids get in the system, um, it's just a pathway for them to continue to stay in the judicial system. You have, sometimes our judicial system, I've seen this in the past where, kids do things in school and they'll hold them uh, until they turn of age to be charged as an adult. They'll keep them in YDC that long just for the simple fact of them being charged as an adult. And so I just can remember reading something where a young man was sentenced as a teenager, um, and I've forgotten the age, but he's served decades of years of being in prison, and that's what they were saying, that um, children that young being sentenced to life in prison, that means that you can't be rehabilitated. And I just don't think that that's true, that you have children that get in trouble that they can't be rehabilitated. And I can remember sitting in I just been so busy, but I can just remember sitting at a workshop um, and I heard this judge, which is a juvenile handles the juvenile justice, that some kids just can't be helped. And I'm not saying that it's true. We just don't know kids' situation. And I'm not making excuses for anybody killing anybody. I'm just not gonna make excuses for that because people do know the difference between right and wrong. Why our young people are killing each other and have guns um, that are not registered. They shouldn't have guns at the ages that they have guns. But for a judge to say that, they don't need to be on the bench. I'm just sorry. That's just the way I feel. If you feel that, then you definitely should not say it out loud. You should not say it out loud if you feel that. But if you feel that kids can't be helped, then I don't think that you need to be in a position, and especially dealing with our children. Um, I just, but at the same time, it starts at home, and we got to realize we have a lot of young people having babies. They're young, and like I said on the show last Monday, um, our system gives them just about everything they need to basically move out on their own, not staying at home and getting the training that they need to be able to even raise a child. Um, Having a baby does not make you an adult. You still have to be mature enough to be able to raise a child. Because if you raise a child and they don't have any training, um, these are the type of things that happen. They go out into the community and they get with the wrong people, especially if you are not staying engaged with your children. A lot of times, even with the school system, that you don't see the parents until something happened in the school, and then they'll go want to go to the school and argue and fuss and fight. And when you can just go to the school. You can't do it now. I just think that something, hopefully at some point then we'll be able to do that. But I can just remember, even with my me as an adult, my mom, I had smaller brothers that were still in school, me as an adult, and my mother, and sometimes I would, we would take turns. I would go to the school just to sit in, just to show that presence, because like I said, if you're there, they know that you're coming, but they don't know when you're coming. They don't even know if you're coming when you just show up like that. So, you know, that's missing in our school systems. Our parents, we gotta stay connected. We have to stay involved with our children. I know a lot of parents work. They're employed and they have jobs. Some of them have two jobs. But as I said earlier, it takes a village to raise these children. You gotta have my mother had certain people that when she wasn't at when she worked, there were certain people that she had watching her house. She knew when we left the house. Uh, we had a front and back door, but she would call from work and say, I thought I told you I didn't want you going anywhere, or I didn't want anybody in my house. She knew that, and she was at work. So some things we got to get back to in order to be able to save our children. Um, a lot of this stuff is not starting at 19 and 20 years old. It's been an issue way before then. We're just not catching it. We're not paying attention to it. So I um I just think that we gotta do better um, and making sure that our children have what they need in order to be successful. And we gotta, like I said, you can talk till you're blue in the face, but like I said, you can't be with your children 24 hours a day. And a lot of times, once they get out there and they start mingling and socializing with other kids, they do what they see other kids do. It's a lot of peer pressure, especially if you're, someone that, you know, even someone that normally stays home, but at a certain age, you start mingling and socializing with other kids. If you're not a strong leader, um, and especially if you're not if you have low self-esteem or something like that, you're prone to following other kids into doing things that you probably wouldn't normally do. You just have to stay strong and be true to yourself. And parents, we have to help our kids recognize that also. um I just want to, you know I just don't want us to start off into the new year with this shooting and killing, and it's already started. As I said, it's already started at the we've already had some incidents already. So, but I just want to make sure that parents know that, we're not blaming parents, because we have very good parents. We have good parents, and we just have to make sure that, we just continue to, instill in our children that you don't have to be in that situation. And the reason I'm saying that is because, like I say, people normally contact us after um, their kids get in trouble. And sometimes our hands are tied. I'm saying, if you kill somebody, I can't get you out of jail. The NAACP can't get you out of jail if you kill somebody. But what we can do is protect your rights while you're in there. But like I said, a lot of times, people are getting stabbed in jail. People are dying in jail. So it's no guarantee you're going to come out. And so if you take somebody's life and you go to jail, then I just don't know what they think about when they do that. I don't know if they think when it happens that they're going to get away with it, or they just don't care whether they get caught or not. They're just going to, but at the same time, it puts your parents in a situation where they have to be spending unnecessary money, because a lot of times you all do not believe how many phone calls we get where people or family members send money to their inmates, and then you have inmates that receive do not receive any money, and they take people food and different things like that in jail. So it's hard, and they don't think about that when they get in trouble, what the consequences and what may happen um, when they're incarcerated. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that 2023, we got to crack down. Um, we got to crack down on trying to. The NACP is here to assist in any way we can, but we want people to understand, because we get it all the time. What is the NAACP doing to stop the crime? Um, you know, the sheriff is doing what they're doing. You got ministers, like I said. I'm repeating some of this stuff that I said because it has to be talked about every week. This is something that we're going to be talking about every week, about this crime in our community. People have to realize the NAACP cannot stop people from killing each other. Um, we can't stop people from committing a crime. You got so many different aid organizations doing everything they can to help, but you can't make it the NAACP's responsibility to stop people from committing crimes, like that's something that we're supposed to be doing. Um, we're gonna be there. We're not going anywhere. But we do have people that actually think that we're supposed to get out there and stop people from uh, killing each other. And so, we had some people on the show last week was talking about some people trying to live above their means, or some type of statement as to that. But like I said, a lot of times, what I see is and I'm not gonna make that as an excuse, because you have people that are middle class people and people that have money that are committing crimes. You look at a lot of these mass shootings in these schools and different things like that. A lot of times people um, have money, and we talked about uh, this shooting that they're talking about now, where the 6-year old brought shot a school teacher, and so uh, they're talking about possibly the child is too young to actually be put in um, YDC, to be put in a place like that. He can't be charged as an adult, but they're looking at you know possibly charging the parents, because you have a 6-year-old that has access to a gun. And then at the same time, I'm and I guess I'm just looking at it at a different standpoint. I'm looking at it that way also. I'm just looking at some other things also. We're looking at the fact that we have a 6-year-old that had access to a gun. He didn't shoot himself. He knew how to handle a gun and be able to shoot a school teacher. And so my question would be, where did he get the gun from? How did he get the gun? And another question would be for me is, I'm not saying anybody should be shot, but do we know why this child brought a gun to school and shot a school? He didn't shoot anybody else, didn't shoot any of the children. He shot a school teacher. Do we have anybody even question why this child brought a gun to school and shot his teacher? That got to be part of the conversation. You got to get to the root of it. You can't just look at the fact that a child brought a gun to school. He probably got it from the parents. You want to charge the parents. If you don't deal with the root problem of what's going on, then you're not really helping the child either. So, I really hate that this child took a gun and shot his school teacher. That's terrible. But we cannot omit. You got to ask the child why. You can't leave the child out of the conversation. You can charge the parents. You can, um, you know, talk about it. I haven't heard anybody ask, mention, um, why would a child, 6-year-old, take a gun to school and shoot a teacher? Why? And so we just got to look at the whole picture, look at everything. I'm not making excuses for the child. Definitely not. Not making excuses for anybody that just shoot someone. There's different circumstances why, self-defense or something like that. But just shooting somebody, taking the law into your own hand is not the answer. But we got to ask that question. We got to start, parents, we got to start listening to our children. A lot of times our children gives us signs and give us warnings, and we don't listen. Um, but our show is about to end. I just want to thank you all again for listening, and we just stay safe until next week, and we'll see you on next Monday.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.